Welcome to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, the show that puts the spotlight on the incredible women who fuel the world of motorsports. From drivers to crew members, engineers to fans, and everyone in between, we're here to celebrate the trailblazers, dreamers, and doers shaping the sport we love. Each episode, we share inspiring stories of females of all ages, from every corner of the motorsports universe, past, present, and future. It's a journey through the seasons of life filled with heartfelt moments, laughter, and a whole lot of horsepower. So whether you're a lifelong fan, a racer yourself, or simply curious about the extraordinary women behind the wheel, settle in, relax, and enjoy a fun and uplifting ride with us. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, connecting and celebrating women in motorsports, one story at a time. Let's hit the track.
Promoting a track takes heart, and now showing appreciation can be just as easy. With send-out cards, you can thank sponsors, volunteers, drivers, and fans with personalized digital cards sent right from your phone or laptop. Add a photo, write a message, and hit send. It's that simple. Unlimited sends for just $10 a month. Go to sendoutcards.com/53240. That's sendoutcards.com/53240, because gratitude builds great tracks. Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. And I have a racing family member with me tonight because I've watched this now grown-up young lady race since she was pretty much a little girl. And I love when I can share stories of girls that I have watched race and that I know personally, but I'm still going to make her tell you her story. So my guest tonight is MaKenna Long. MaKenna, I'm so glad that we could have you on the show. This means a lot to me that we can share your story. And so first, I want you to share with the listeners a little bit about yourself, your family, your pets, anything that you want to share.
So my name's MaKenna. I've been racing since I was 7.5, I want to say. So I've been in it for years. And I just recently started college at the University of Northwestern Ohio, which for automotive high performance. So it's pretty much what I've grown up around and what I continue want to grow up with. I have a younger sister, Alyssa. She's 17, and she's my mini-me pretty much. We act the same. We look the same. So, and then pretty much all I know and have known is racing for many years.
Yeah. And you live in Plainwell. Is Plainwell your address?
I live in Ohio. Or not. Geez. I live in Otsego back home, and then I live at school.
Right. But you're from Otsego. Otsego and Plainwell run together.
Same. Yeah.
I'm never sure, is the highway the dividing line? I don't know.
Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah. So then I know where you live. So then it would be Otsego, Michigan, which is just half hour up the road from me. So that's kind of cool. And MaKenna, so 7.5 years old. How did you, what was the first experience that made you want to check out racing? Or did somebody kind of force it on you, make you look at it, and then you were like, oh, I love it?
Well, so actually, funny story. So my grandpa is one of those people that is nosy about everything and anything that is going on around town. And he just happened to see that there was a big pile of dirt that just randomly appeared, bunch of trees, and was like, I need to know what this is. So he stopped by. Come to find out, they were building Kalamazoo Speedway, which is where I grew up. And he was like, and was talking to the owners, and he was like, I want to get my grandkid into this. So, like, my dad wanted me to get into drag racing and stuff, but he was like, I want to get my kid into this. So then we ended up going over to Dale Raber's shop and test out, sat in a quarter midget. At the time, I broke my arm in on the monkey bars at school. So I was in a full arm cast from my shoulder to my hand. So I was like, I didn't expect anything because obviously I couldn't get in a car at that point.
Uh-huh.
But finally, we ended up bringing the car home, got into it, and then pretty much just never stopped from that day.
Yeah. So were they building Little Kalamazoo Speedway?
Yes, they were
Yeah.
building. Scott and Amy were building Little Kalamazoo Speedway for Carson for his testing track, as they called it,
Uh-huh.
and then ended up making a club out of it. And yeah.
Right. So for those of you who don't know who we're talking about Carson Hocevar, who that's his parents that built that track where all of you guys that I know and went and watched started your racing careers, you know.
Yep.
And there's so many of you still involved in racing, whether it be driving locally like Taylor and Alex Sexton. They're still involved. There's a lot of kids that went through the quarter midgets that are still doing something with racing. So that is so very cool. So Scott and Amy were building the track, and you had to be one of the very first ones.
I think there was a group of like 9 or 10 of us that were like the first starters.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And, you know, the fact that they built that really for Carson as a practice track, and it evolved into a huge like club, and they had some really big races. Midwest Thunder was there, I know, more than once.
Yep.
And it's amazing how that just started with an idea and then with Carson and then evolved into this. And they're still racing there today. I'll go by there on my way to the big track, which if you don't know Kalamazoo, Little Kalamazoo Speedway backs up to Big Kalamazoo Speedway. And there's just a fence in between that kind of keeps them separated. So you can stand at the fence and watch the quarter midgets and watch the big cars all on the same night sometimes, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty cool. So MaKenna, what was it about getting in that quarter midget and going to that track that made you want to keep going week after week? Because you were little, you know, 7, 8 years old. And there were a lot of nights and days that you were there for hours and hours and hours. What made you keep going back?
I think it was just the thrill of it and the excitement of going fast. But yes, there was a bunch of days, like to the point where my dad and grandpa would send me out on the track and be like, you are not running until you run out of fuel. It could have been 100 laps. It could have been 1,000 laps. I think within the 7 years that I raced at that track, I probably put down close to 3,000 laps, if not more, within those 7 years, just going to the track and be like, you're not stopping until you run out of gas or something happens or the sun comes down, because there's been a bunch of times where we would go out and be like, it 4 hours till sunset. And my dad's like, you can't leave till there's no sunlight anymore. So
you can't
think
see.
It's just, it was just the thrill, and just fell in love with it. So obviously I wanted to stick with it.
Yeah, for sure. And then, you know, you talk about your little sister when you started there. How many years younger is she than you?
She is 4.5 years younger than me.
Okay. So when you started, she wasn't even born, probably, or maybe had just been born.
I think she was just got born.
And MaKenna, I can remember her sitting playing in the dirt with Taylor Imus's little sister, and just she could have cared less about racing, and she was there for hours, you know, and they played with their cars and their dolls and stuff. And then she took on racing too, didn't she?
Yep.
Yeah.
And she's still doing it to this day.
Yeah. So let's give her a shout out. Where's she racing at?
Right now she's been practicing at Kalamazoo quite a few, and I think hopefully this season she's gonna make her debut at Kalamazoo. She's been practicing for the last couple of years, or like the last year or so. She got a front wheel drive when she turned 14, but issues happened with the front wheel drive, so obviously she wasn't able to get on the track. And then finally she got a street stock, and we were hoping last year, since I was still racing full time, we could both get on the track at the same time, but just me, my dad, and my sister running 2 cars is kind of a lot. So
It's a lot.
That didn't happen, which it sucks because I wanted to get back on the track with her. But
you guys are young. It could still happen.
Yeah,
it could still happen. Don't give up on that. Don't give up on that.
I'm hoping within the next couple of years we'll be able to run side by side again like we used to.
Yeah, that would be so fun. And your mom has been always heavily involved with helping at the track, running things at the track, the scoring and stuff. So your whole family was,
as much as she does not want to admit it, she was a huge part. And as much as she says she wants to step away, there's no way she's going to be able to.
It's part of her. It's in her blood. There's no way, MaKenna, that she helped with the concessions, just everything. And so, your whole family was so involved. And I think that's part of why in racing, we do stick with things more than other sports, because we're all involved together.
It's not just a one person sport. It's whole family gets together and stuff like that.
Yeah. And your grandpa and your grandma, they came all the time, and you know, it's just, they have a memorial race still for your grandpa, I think, and for him and Raber. And it's just one of those tracks that you're never gonna ever let go. It's always going to be in your heart.
Yeah. And the fact that my dad and grandpa did all the concrete around there, my dad and grandpa poured. So they'll always be a part of them at the track.
Yeah.
Even if they're not actually there.
Right. That's something that most of those kids that have come through there can't say. So you got a special, very special connection for sure. So you raced there. Then what was your step after that?
So after that, I ended up getting into a street stock, and I raced at Kalamazoo, Springport, tested a bunch of other tracks, but really didn't find one I really loved. Raced in the street stock for 3 or 4 years, I want to say, and I still have it, but since I moved down to school, I don't have time for it anymore. And then through the school, I ended up joining an ARCA team. So I'm traveling every weekend with ARCA, going who knows where. Like last weekend, I was in Charlotte. Next weekend, I'll be in MIS. So it's just, at this point, I love to do it, but I don't have time, and I much rather do something else to pursue my dreams and get recognized almost than to stay local. But I'll always have a special place in my heart for local track racing. So
because that's where you grew up, and that's part of you. But the fact that you're involved in ARCA is pretty exciting. You'll be at Berlin, I'm sure, in a few weeks.
I'll be at Berlin in 2 weeks. So
So, if anybody's local, they need to go up and watch the ARCA race and check on MaKenna.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it is.
I'll be there, and Super Late Models will be there too. So I know a couple other people that will be racing as well. Yeah. So I'm excited.
And that's such a great place to go to watch a race anyway.
It is.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you get started with the ARCA team? So I know you're at UNOH.
Yep.
We talked about Mara Henderson that I just interviewed. In fact, her podcast just got released, and come to find out, that's how you got interested or introduced to UNOH. So kind of tell that story in case there's kids out there listening and thinking, well, how did you get to do that? Really so young in your life.
Yeah. So pretty much I went to a tech school and back home and did that. And Mara came into my class and did every school does their typical presentation. Like, you should come here because of this, 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 and this. So I was almost hesitant about it. And then I saw that they had an ARCA team. I was like, that's what I want to do. So toured the school, whatever. It's been here for almost a year, I want to say. And then I have a couple friends that were in the ARCA team last year. They're like, Kenna, you need to come do this. You need to come do this. I was like, okay. like, I'll give it a shot. But I just started started my job last year. So I was like, I don't want to do it. Screw up my job. So I was like, why not? So I ended up joining the team, and then I had a bunch of other friends. They're like, you should join our team. I was like, okay. So obviously I went, and we have practices. So we do over the wall practices. So pretty much a car comes, you jump in front of the car, change the tires, jack, all that fun stuff like you normally see at a pit stop.
Right.
And all this stuff. So pretty much I'm now the tire specialist of 2 cars because my team owns 2 cars. So I'm running around all the time doing who knows what. And now here I am jumping over the wall in front of cars running at me, which is kind of terrifying, but hey,
it can be dangerous.
Yes. It's what I want to do it's what I've always wanted to do. So I'm not going to complain too much.
No. And honestly, MaKenna, are you 21 yet?
I'm 20.
20. So,
yep.
So, for you to be able to be doing that at 20 years old, you've jumped really kind of a lot of steps that a lot of other kids didn't, because you put yourself in the right places to do that, And when you say you had friends that ran ARCA and stuff, well, it's all about who you know.
Yeah,
this relationship.
It really is. It's about who you know and what you know. Because if you don't know people, I hate to say it, but you're really not going to be able to get in anywhere. It sucks. That's how that is. But
that's life. That's if you wanted to go to work at Bronson, you might be able to, apply and get a job. But if you know somebody there that's worked there a long time, or your mom's a nurse and works there, it's so much easier.
Oh yeah,
to get in at any company, not just racing, but racing especially. I think it's who you know.
Yeah.
So, do you want to share who were some of the people? Were they drivers, ARCA drivers, or were they ARCA? They worked on the pit crew.
So pretty much it was some of I've known. There's a couple of ARCA drivers that actually have raced quarter midgets in the past. So I've always wanted to do it. But it was more people on other crews. They're like, hey, you should do this. And then I had 4 or 5 crews looking at me. They're like, I want her, because obviously they're like, hey, I found a girl that she knows what she's doing. She's not completely stupid, and she knows what she's doing. So I had 4 or 5 teams coming at me hey, I want you, I want you, I want you.
Cool.
So that was difficult trying to decipher between all the teams that I had to pick, but I am very happy with the team that I picked. So
okay, so tell us about what team are you on, and then exactly what do you do?
So I'm on the 99 and 67, which is Maples Motorsports. The 99 is Michael Maples, which is the owner, and then the 67, his name's Ryan Roulette. So pretty much they've done it for years. And so my specific job is what they call a tire specialist. So pretty much I'll go to the track, pick out sets of tires that I think will work, set stagger, air pressures, all that stuff, make sure everything with the tires are perfect. And then for pit stops and stuff, I'll glue up lug nuts so it's easier on everyone. And then if I'm a changer, I'm the person obviously jumping over the wall, changing the tires, and then putting new ones on. And then after, I will check tire pressure to pretty much see how much the tire grew, how much they shrunk. If the tire's wearing weird, then it can tell you a lot about the setup of the car. There's a lot most people don't realize, but your tires say a lot about how your car's set up.
Oh yeah,
which is what I wasn't really used to when I was racing, because I never had to do that. I was a driver, but I also helped, but all that stuff has to happen when the driver is still in the car. So obviously I can't get out of the car real fast to go do this. So it's taught me a lot about if a tire's doing this, the car's doing this, and vice versa, whichever works.
Yeah. Yeah, because when you say you had a lot of teams looking at you, I'm gonna you know um, assume that part of it is because you were a driver, because
Yes.
you at least had knowledge of that, and the fact that you were a girl. I'm sorry, but they like diversity on their teams.
Yes. It
And I actually know a NASCAR tire specialist. She's been a good friend of mine since 2017. I'm going to connect you to her. Her name's Liz Prestella, and she's a tire specialist.
perfect.
Um, in She was for Chris Buescher, and she's been for different people. I'll have to connect you with her, and you guys should have a conversation because you would really like her.
Yeah.
And you left Michigan and moved to Ohio, and she left California and moved to North Carolina when she was 18 years old. So you guys have a lot of similarities in your stories. But she will tell you that that's a hard job, and you're not a very big girl, and neither was she. And lifting those tires and throwing them around, it's
Yeah.
hard, isn't it?
It's definitely not easy, and especially the fact that I've been doing tires on 2 cars for half, like, the last half of the season. It's a lot, and
Yeah,
especially, like, doing tires on half, like, during practice and qualifying and then going out and changing tires at the same time. It it gets defeating. That's for
yeah,
sure. I come home from a weekend and my body hurts,
I'm
and
sure.
all I wanna do is sleep.
Yeah,
Which it also sucks which means I don't have free time anymore because I'm at a racetrack 24/7, but
yeah.
there's no other way. Like, I don't mind it at all. Like, obviously it's what I grew up with, so, like, I could care
Well,
less.
and let's face it, MaKenna, this is what you have to do in order to get to the next step and the
Yeah,
next step.
yes. It's pretty
There's
much
nothing
just
easy.
putting my foot in the door.
Right. Right. And when teams see that you're a hard worker and that you learn and that you know what you're doing, then that's what's going to get you a long ways
Yeah.
as well. So I knew a couple girls that were tire changers and work. One of them's still on. Brianna Daniels is a girl that changes tires, and the other girl's name was Brianna O'Leary, I think was her last name. I will have to look those girls up too, because um they were doing the same thing like what you're doing. And it always helps. The more you know, the more people you
Yeah.
know, the better. So we'll connect you with those gals too.
Perfect. I
They're both
appreciate it.
amazing. Yeah, for sure. So you go to the track at what time? Like you were just at Charlotte. So what was your schedule like?
So, pretty much Charlotte, it was a little bit per se laid back. We didn't have to get to the track till 9 o'clock, but like Daytona, our first race of the season, we were at the track at 5:30 in the morning. So
Okay.
it depends on the race, but most of the time we get to the track, get the cars unloaded, um, roll them through tech. So I gotta, as soon as I get to the track, I go get a new set of tires, come back, make sure those sets of tires are right, and then put them on the car, set them because we have 2 different pressures. So I'll have to set them to tech pressures so we can roll through tech. So, like, everyone's ride heights, everything, like, that's the same. So I'll set them to tech
Right.
pressures and then bring them back to the trailer, and then I'll have to raise them or lower them, depends on, like, what my crew chief wants tire pressures for the weekend.
Right.
And then pretty much every time the car comes out on the track, I got to be at the car taking temperatures of the tires. If it's a short track, I'll have to measure staggered to see how much the tires shrunk and grew and all that fun stuff. So it's pretty much a running game back and forth
Yeah.
all the time, looking
Yeah.
at the same thing pretty much. But it's the same thing, but it's not the same thing because they change so consistently.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you've got those tires when they come off the car. First, of course they're hot.
Yes.
And you have to
they're
measure
warm.
them, like, and get them right away. It might look like a fun job, and it is a fun job. Don't get me wrong, but it's a hard job, and it's a
Yes.
grueling job to be a pit crew member.
Yes, it is definitely like, yes, obviously it's fun, but you have to be on top of it. There is pretty much, I'm working my butt off from the time I get to the track till the time we leave. Like Charlotte, we got there at 8 o'clock. We didn't leave till almost midnight, and I was working full sprint the whole entire time.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to the Chicago race a few years ago, probably, I don't know, 8 years ago now. And I had a hard card, and so I was in the pits, and so I hung out with Liz quite a bit that day. And it was 102 all weekend long. It was in the hundreds. And they were at the track from 6 in the morning, and then like on Friday or Saturday night before the race on Sunday, it was midnight. And then they were back at 5 or 6, and wow, they don't tell you that when they want to hire you.
No.
Do they?
No.
That's true of any job you get. They don't tell you all that stuff. For sure.
Yeah. I'm kidding.
So what do you love the most about it, though?
The most I love about it is pretty much I get to do what I love, obviously, and then I'm traveling to all these different tracks all over the U.S. that I would have never thought I went to. Like back in February, I went to Phoenix. Like never when
That's
I was.
That's a great track.
Yes, it was beautiful. Seeing the mountains in the background, like all that stuff was beautiful. But I would have never thought, if you would have asked me like 2 years ago, if even that, a year ago, that I would be in Phoenix. And then I wasn't even in Phoenix for 36 hours.
Yeah.
And then the weekend after that being in Talladega. So like it's all the time I'm constantly traveling, which I love. Like I love exploring new places. So
yeah. The thing is, you don't really get to see a lot of the towns you're in. But
you see the racetrack and what's around the racetrack
and the hotel or wherever you're staying.
Yep.
Yeah. Phoenix is great. My youngest 2 daughters live there, Brittany and Brienne, and so I've been to that track more than any other track, and I actually
it's beautiful. That's for sure.
And got to be friends with some of the higher ups there, which was really cool, and so that has to be my number one track for sure. But my bucket list, MaKenna, is every NASCAR track, and I've got quite a few to go yet, but I'm working on it for sure. So when you go, they fly you, or is there a team plane?
We drive to every single race.
Wow.
Except
so how does somebody drive you in a van, or how does that work?
So pretty much at the school we have our typical Tuesday meetings. So all the ARCA people get together, we discuss wherever the race is, and then within your specific team, you'll divide and conquer on who's driving. So we'll take the last weekend in Charlotte, we took my car. So we all got in my car. We met at a certain time, whatever. We got in my car. I would drive till I needed a break. Then someone else would take a turn, pretty much just convoy all the way down to whatever racetrack, and then pretty much do the exact same thing all the way back.
Phoenix is a haul.
Luckily, I got lucky enough that I did not drive to Phoenix, but I know people that drove to Phoenix, and it was rough.
Yeah.
I think from Lima, Ohio, it was 35 hours or something like that. So
it's about 25 from Kalamazoo to Phoenix, because I've driven it a few times, but do you guys drive straight through, or do you stop?
If we try to drive straight through as much as we can, because if we stop, it is on us pretty much.
Yeah.
So we try to drive through as much as possible, but it depends pretty much.
Pull into a rest stop, take a couple hours break. Yeah, I get it.
We've done that a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah, because some of those, luckily a lot of the tracks are on the east side of the country. But, you've got Vegas, Phoenix, Sonoma, whatever I'm missing. So, yeah, there's a few that are a long ways away. So, yeah. I did not know that you would be driving. That surprises me. So when I'm going to get, the gory details. When you guys have to drive, do you guys have to just pitch in and split the gas, or does anybody pay anything for you to do what you're doing?
So it's based off the team. So each team has a different rate. So it depends on what team you are, how much you get paid per weekly or like per weekend. So like my team, I'll get paid at the end of the race, and most of the time, if you take your car, you will get an extra however much, depends on how far away the drive is, pretty much.
Okay.
So it depends, but for fuel wise, we normally have one person pay for it, and then at the end of the weekend, whatever we got extra for fuel, we would add up all the price and then split it up evenly between however many people. Like Charlotte, I had 3 other people in the car with me, so we took the gas bill, split it up 3 ways, and then just pretty much called it even. So like no one was getting stuck with paying for everything. Like, it sucks that you're putting miles on your own vehicle, but
it's only once, probably every 3 or 4 races. If you have room for,
it depends. Which I got lucky. My car's small, but I have the most gas efficient vehicle in my team. So I've drove to the last, I want to say 4 or 5 races.
Okay.
Which I don't mind, because obviously my car's small. It's good on gas. So like it just depends on where you're going and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. So how as a student at UNOH, then how did you get chosen to be able to be on that ARCA team? I mean, did you have to go through any kind of like interviews or anything, or did the people in charge just kind of choose you? How did that work?
So it kind of depends. So pretty much you can so there's 20, 30 different clubs at UNO. So you pretty much go, and then so I went to this meeting and I met with one of my potential teams, and we talked back and forth, whatever. And so it's pretty much just you show up, and if team has room for you, they'll take you. So there's really no interview process. Nothing like that. So
and then from there you have to carry your weight, or they probably leave you at home the next time.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you obviously have to, if you're being stupid, not doing your work, being lazy, obviously they'll be like, hey, this ain't gonna work for you. So pretty much just do what you're supposed to be doing and you'll have no issues.
Yeah, exactly. True of any job. We're talking about life. This is life, MaKenna, what you're living. This is life for sure. Yeah. So I won't keep you too much longer, because you probably got studying to do. But
no, you're good.
I got a few more little questions here. You've been involved in racing for a long time. Your dad had 2 girls, so he didn't have any boys to push towards the racing. Nope. But do you think motorsports is a good career, or racing is a good sport for girls to get involved in?
Yeah, it definitely brings up your self-confidence almost. I always joke with my dad, I'm the son he never had, because pretty much you throw me a dress, I won't wear it. You throw me wrench, grease, dirt, I'm all for it. No hesitation whatsoever. It's definitely easy to get your name out there, as long as you do it and you're good, consistent, and not to tear up other people's stuff. Pretty much do what you're supposed to do almost. Then it's easy, and it's definitely a confidence booster, and you can get lots of credit for it very fast.
Yeah. I can remember watching you, Taylor Imus, Maddie, McKenna, and there was another girl with blonde hair. Gosh, I should remember her name. There was quite a few girls that raced together. Kind of showed up the boys a little bit.
Most of the time, I've had a bunch of people tell me, honestly, females do a lot better because they have a lot more patience. They have a lot more social awareness than guys do.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And, just from interviewing little girls that are 6, up to, girls that are up to, teenage or older, they're much more mature for their age
Yes.
than girls who are not in racing. It's
Yep.
so it's because they're dealing with life struggles. Your car broke, you lost to your best friend, you spun out and had to go to the back, all the things, right?
Yeah.
And those are not things you learn in first grade
Yeah.
or second grade or whatever. But you're learning it on the racetrack.
Yeah. It's definitely not easy. Like, there's been a couple times where it'll get the best of me, I will say that. But I've been pushing continuously, and
Yeah.
now
So
here
when you
I
had
am.
a bad night, how did you handle it?
It's rough, I will say that. Most of the time, if I have a bad night, I will keep it to myself as much as I can, but sometimes it does not normally work. But my strategy is every time I have a bad night, I'll be mad at who knows what. I will go sit in the trailer, sit in the truck, go walk, and give me 20, 30 minutes, and then I'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And like, there's been a couple of times where I'll accidentally take someone out, like, by no, like, did
It
not mean
happens.
to whatsoever. Like, yeah, it happens. And I'll be mad at myself, so I'll take a few minutes after the race, whatever, cool off. Or like they'll try to come talk to me, and like I'll tell my dad, hey, tell him to come back in like half hour, because
Yeah.
that's not who I want to be. Someone come over and me start yelling at them and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah. And those are just things you learn as you
yeah.
race and you start to and you grow up, We still you watch NASCAR, they still have issues when they get off the track. So
Yeah.
it's it is what it is, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
What's your favorite memory? Do you have one from all the things that you've done? A favorite race, a win, something that happened like you flipped the car and walked away? I don't know. Tell me.
I've had a lot of memories, but probably my biggest two was I want to say 10, 11. I got to the track on I think it was Tuesday night. We were racing and walked in the tower to go sign in, and I saw a giant, well, at the time I thought it was giant, like 4 or 5 foot trophy. And I looked at my mom and dad and I was like, I want that. And they're like, well, you can't have it. Like, you got to race for it. And I was determined to that. Like, I was determined. I got in that car and I told my dad, I was like, I'm going to come home with that trophy. Ended up leading pretty much every single lap, and I was probably the happiest I've ever been. And then there was a then there was, I think it was towards the end of my, like, towards the end I was done quarter midget racing. I got in a really bad accident, like flipped 4 or 5 times.
Whoa.
Got up, so flipped over the wall, landed on all 4. Like, I was bawling my ass out. My dad's like, do you still want to go back out? I was like, yes, fix my car. I want to go back out. So we pulled my car into the pits. There was, I think my front end was bent. So, like, my dad was like, there's no way you're going to finish this. I was like, I don't care. I want to go. I want to go. So he did. He pushed me back out. I ended up finishing 3rd. And like went up from like last to 3rd in like 6 or 7 laps, which I was pretty proud of. And my car was destroyed. And like afterwards, everyone's like, I honestly don't know how you drove this car.
Yeah.
But I was so determined. I was like, I want to win. I want to finish this race. I'm not going to let a flip bother me. So
right. Wow. That's pretty. I didn't know you'd flip that many times, but woo, that's too many.
It was bad.
Yeah, I guess. So, last thing is social media. How can people follow you? You've got a lot of people, especially in the Kalamazoo area, that know you and know your family. that would like to follow you, or maybe come to Berlin or whatever. So how can they follow you on social media? Where are you at?
So we have a Long Try Racing Facebook page, which is mine and my sister's racing. And then
let's spell it for people. It's long dash try, TRY.
Yep, TRY racing.
Yeah.
So we have that on Facebook. I want to say we have an Instagram account too, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
And then obviously my personal Facebook account, which is MaKenna Long.
Yeah.
And then for like where I'll be, ARCA Races Y, Maples Motorsports.
Okay. Maples Motorsports. Okay.
Yep.
So,
and then obviously if you follow the normal ARCA Menards Series, you'll see their schedule and stuff like that. But for specific races and like updates for like ARCA races, I would say probably my Facebook's the most well known, because I try to do my best at the very end of every race. I'll do a Facebook post about the recap of the weekend, pictures, whatever, because I know I have family that loves to see it. I know a couple weeks ago after Talladega, I forgot to put a post, and my mom texted me, "Hey, you didn't get your weekend post up." I'm like, "I'm sorry." So then I ended up posting it. It might have been a week late, but it was there. So
of all the tracks you've been to so far, and I know you haven't been to all of them yet, what's been your favorite track?
So far, honestly, I think Talladega or Phoenix.
Yeah.
It's been hit or miss. I will say, if you want rain to come to your town, invite ARCA, NASCAR, all of the above. Because when we went to Phoenix, so one of my friends, his family's from Phoenix, and
it never rains in Phoenix until the race gets there. We were talking to them,
and they're like, "We have not had rain in 6 months.
I know.
You guys come, and it rained all weekend."
I know.
So like, those two have been my favorite so far. Yeah. The race I'm most looking forward to is Bristol. I will say that. I've always wanted to go to Bristol. It's always been a dream track of mine. And so
me too. So that's on my list. I'd really like to get there. I know Brandy and Bob and the girls and them, they got there a couple of years ago when they had the rain so bad that it flooded the track. That's the weekend they were there. So
I'll be there in September. So
never fails, does it?
Nope.
No. You know what, MaKenna? I have really enjoyed catching up with you. I haven't seen you for a long time, but I accept social media. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to make sure we do?
I don't think so.
So we're going to encourage all these kids out here who want to be involved in motorsports. UNOH has a lot of programs.
Yes, I highly recommend it. Yes, it's kind of far away. Not really. I'm only about 3 hours from home, so it's like far enough away that I'm away from home and can live my life, but close enough that
you can get home easy.
And the good thing about UNO is we have Fridays off class, because their mentalities, Fridays are for racing, so they don't want to take up people. Oh, I can't go to this race because we have class. So that's the good perk of it, is we get Fridays off, so you get pretty much a long weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And are you a freshman or sophomore there?
I'm technically a sophomore.
Okay.
In August. So my program's only 36 months, so it's 3 years. So in August, I'll technically be a senior almost, but I only have a year left till graduation.
Okay.
So we do it based off of months, and we don't do semesters like normal colleges do.
Okay.
We do a different class every 6 weeks.
Okay.
Which is nice, because you can focus on one class at a time instead of 4 or 5 classes together.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think that makes a lot of sense.
It's nice, and it's honestly a lot less stressful.
Yeah, I'm sure. Plus, a lot of what you're doing is not just book learning. You're hands-on.
Yes.
And so that takes a lot more energy and focus than learning from the book,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like the class I'm in right now is I just tore apart a whole motor and put it back together in 3 days. So like I haven't touched a computer, a notebook, or anything in like a week, and I've been tearing apart a motor for fun
Yeah.
pretty much and learning about how to measure things, how to do this, how to do that. So
Your dad has to be so proud. Well, your mom too, but your
Yes.
dad especially. I know Robert is like, yeah, that's my girl. I mean, that's my boy. That's my kid. That's my kid.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Well, MaKenna, I'm proud of you too, because I
Thank you.
love seeing that what started at 7.5 at Little Kalamazoo Speedway has brought you here, and who knows where it's going to take you
Yeah.
from here. And
At this point, I genuinely do not know. Like I could get within the next couple of years, I could get so many job offers.
yeah,
Who knows where, traveling, who knows where.
yeah. And the more connections you make, the better. So
Yes.
I'll do my part, and I'll send you an email probably tomorrow and connect you to the gals that I know, because
Perfect. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you'll like all three of them. They're amazing. And the more people you learn and you meet and you make friends with, the better. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, MaKenna, I hope to see you in Berlin. I'm planning to be there. So hopefully
I will be there. I might be running around like crazy
that's
person,
okay.
but
that's what I want you to do, is do your job so we can see you in action, for sure. So very cool. And good luck with everything you're doing, and keep working hard. It's going to get you where you want to go one of these days. I know for sure.
I hope so. That's the dream.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hang on just a minute after we close out here, and we'll say goodbye to the recording. If you're looking to buy, sell, or trade the stuff that strokes your engine, anything from truck parts to classic and muscle cars, RVs to hot rods, and everything in between, then check out our official classifieds at racingjunk.com. Racingjunk.com is the world's #1 online racing and performance marketplace, the ultimate one-stop shop where you'll find what you need to rock your ride. If it belongs in your garage, it's for sale on racingjunk.com. Log on to racingjunk.com to find the gear you're looking for, sell your extra stuff, keep up on racing news and tech tips, and more. Again, that's racingjunk.com. That's it for this episode of the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. We hope you've been inspired by the stories I shared today and feel more connected to the amazing community of women in motorsports. Remember, whether you're behind the wheel, in the pits, or cheering from the stands, your story matters. And together, we're driving change and celebrating every milestone. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who loves motorsports as much as you do. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates, behind the scenes content, and more incredible stories. So until next time, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep racing through life. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, where every woman's story is worth celebrating.